Welcome back. Big trouble in the Big Easy, but for who? We'll find out right now as we do our game preview against the New Orleans Saints. Welcome back, Raider Nation and my champions. This is Eric, and we are back live this Friday evening as usual to do our game preview. This week, we're going to be going up to the Big Easy, like I said, invading the Superdome to take on the 2-5 New Orleans Saints. I want to say hello to everybody out there. I know some people are already filing in on TikTok. YouTube is as well. How you guys doing? I kind of see some popping in, popping out. Of course, like to say hello to all of you. Don Solo, I see a bunch of people in here already coming in on the TikToker. It looks like we have a pretty good connection, unlike last time with the game review against the Houston Texans. We had a little bit of trouble with the YouTube feed, so knock on wood. Let's hope we're doing okay with that. TikTok's been okay. Hopefully the graphics are better. I don't know if it's just an issue with the camera or the fact that I can't go live on here because I don't have a stream key yet on the TikTok side. So I basically have to use my tablet right here and go on directly from my tablet on the TikTok side. The YouTube does not see that, of course. They get a pure feed. So I want to say hello to all of you. Fleshed Hamster. Like I said, you guys have some great names, especially on the TikTok side. I'm amazed by you guys. Thank you for coming out. I see people kind of popping in and out, already voting in our, if you go on the YouTube side, I always put a voting in. I put it on the channel for the game of the week, the poll of the week, but I also do one in the chat as well on the YouTube side. So if you are, you can go on the YouTube side or the TikTok side. It's your choice. Hey, Al's Ghost, I see you in here. Let's say hello to you, and we keep getting more people in the TikTok side as well. So thank you for coming in. We're going to go over this game. We're going to go over the offensive side, the defensive side first. On the Raider side, I'm going to give you my 4 keys to the game. Then I'm going to give you my game prediction, score prediction of this one. So let's get right to this. And if you are not familiar with my live streams, if you're new here, why not subscribe, like, share, do all that stuff. You know what you got to do on the platform you're on. Take care of that so that way you're notified of anything coming up, especially new live streams. Now, this is what I call my rundown. These are the categories we're going to be talking about. And as always, we go to the question and answer segment where you get involved as fans, talking to me, talking to each other about what you think about the Raiders, the game that came up, or the game that we are reviewing that went by weeks, free agency. We can talk about Jonathan Hankins. We'll talk about that if you want. Obviously, he was traded to the Dallas Cowboys. If you did not hear that, for a 6th rounder, we gave up a 7th and him. So we can get a little bit into that as well if you want to talk about that. I see somebody asking some fantasy advice in here. It says, should I trade Christian McCaffrey for King Henry? No, I would keep McCaffrey since he's on the 49ers. He's already in pretty, I wouldn't say a full load yet as a San Francisco 49er, but this was only his first week. And plus, the Niners are a better team than Tennessee this season. And I don't know how long King Henry can keep this up as far as the play count. So there's your fantasy quip for the day. If you want to ask anything else, you can go right ahead. I will take any kind of questions, especially related to football. Daddy is back with the milk. He's back with the milk here on TikTok. Yo to you. How about Andy Dalton over Jimmy G? You know what? I was actually thinking about doing a fantasy show. If you guys are interested, put a 1 in the chat. I want to see if you guys have interest in it. If you guys have interest in it, I'll do it. But this is mainly for the Raiders, the game preview against the Saints. Andy Dalton over Jimmy G. We'll talk about Andy Dalton in a minute. I will say that. Thank you for the weights. I appreciate that, E-Dark. I'm going to work out with that. I appreciate that. Some gifts coming in on the TikTok side. Appreciate that. Hefe KC is here. Little trolling going on. That's all right. You're cool, Hefe. How you guys doing? What's up? What's up? Oh, I see some ones in the chat at TikTok. You know what? Again, I'm thinking about doing one. I probably won't do it this weekend. Maybe next Saturday. So probably like the Fridays will be like the Raider reports. And then Saturdays we can do strictly fantasy so you can get your lineups. I did make some videos on my YouTube channel. If you want to check that out under Raider Champion, there's a fantasy section. I did that for a while. Didn't get a whole lot of views, so I stopped doing it. But I like talking fantasy. I do fantasy football as well. So I watched that game and I enjoyed it. Okay, let's get right to this. So first thing,
take what they give you. We're gonna take what we want.
First thing, of course, is what I want to do is celebrate you guys. You guys are what makes this channel possible, and the channel keeps growing, and I appreciate that. We're over 800 on the YouTube side, hitting the 1,500 mark on the TikTok side. Thank you very much. Again, this is what drives it. If you get, like I said, if you guys want to do fantasy, we'll do that as well. Dark says Steelers, baby, but I support the Raiders. We can talk about the Steelers if you want in the question and answer segment as well. Raider Nation, absolutely. Daddy's back with the milk. I see you in here as well. So thank you very much, and thank you for supporting the channel like you do. Now, as we normally do on YouTube, we do a poll of the week. And this poll was a little bit more fun, I have to admit. And I asked, heading into Voodoo Land on Halloween weekend, are you worried? Most of you said no. I put a little goofy boo dat instead of the who dat nonsense that they have there. Found a picture. Of course, Raider Nation for life. That's what I'm saying. A little Baron Samedi here. Maybe Alvin Kamara. Somebody voted for him. And then the security guard. If you hadn't noticed that picture, it looks like the cheerleaders were dressed up for Halloween here. The Saints cheerleaders. And it looks like the security guard's back here taking a picture of him. So I threw that in for fun. But I'll tell you why I'm not so worried about this team, the Saints. There is some weaponry that we got to be concerned with on both sides of the ball. We'll get into that right now with our game preview.
The other team's quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard.
And as we normally do, we start on the defensive side of the ball for the Raiders. And if you're new here, I usually put these yellow either inside or out. It means they're questionable. We'll talk about the injury report shortly. But if it's red, that means they're replacing a starter. So just to keep that in mind as we go through this. So let's get right to that injury report. I know it's a little small. There's a lot of people on here. Of course, we had Derek Carr getting hit in the midsection, back injury. He's been in full practice the last 2 days. Not worried about that. We'll get into the receiving corps for the Raiders. All of them are listed as questionable coming into the game for various reasons. Devontae with illness. Limited practice. Hunter, of course, with the hip. And Mac Hollins was on there with a heel injury. So we might see Tyron Johnson a little bit in this game as well, especially when we get in the offensive side. I'll tell you what I think of their pass defense. That could be a nice little sweet matchup that we have. Nobody's out for this game. Of course, Jonathan Hankins was traded. As far as the Saints go, of course, Landry and Michael Thomas are out. They've been out for a few weeks now, so that was no surprise. Same thing with Marshawn Lattimore, their best corner. We're going to get into that once we get in the offensive side of the ball. Andrus Peat, the starting left guard, is questionable. Did not play last week. I do not have him in the lineup this week. He could play. We'll see. Limited practice only. Adebo, their other corner, very thin at corner. We'll get into that on the other side of the ball. Jameis Winston, healthy scratch now. Of course, they're going with the red rifle. Let's get right into that. Andy Dalton's going to be starting for them, even though famous Jameis is healthy. So as far as my concerns with Dalton, you can see the stats here as far as yardage. He can throw the ball, but he can be a little wild at times and throw some interceptions. So, but I'm going to go with my first key to the game right here is this guy right here, Chris Olave, rookie Ohio State wide receiver, really starting to heat up right now and doing that with the red rifle. So I like to see those trends. Of course, their top two receivers, Thomas and Landry, are out. I think he's the number one by default at this point. And he's probably going to be going to him early and often. So, plus, we haven't had a lot of success stopping the pass, especially against Davis Mills and the Houston Texans last week. 300-yard game. That's embarrassing, to be honest with you. So, my first key to the game, kind of keeps this guy down. 100 yards, 0 receiving touchdowns. It's kind of a baseline, but this guy's heating up. He had over 100 yards last week, so I want to keep that. I'm going to keep this guy in check as far as the passing game. Now, of course, my second key to the game. Now, you might say I'm going to go right here, Alvin Kamara. Well, I am going to go right here, but I'm going to go with this guy, Taysom Hill. This is a kind of guy, he's a do-it-all kind of back. He's played quarterback for them. He takes snaps under center at times, not all the time. Also listed as a tight end, so he can kind of do it all. And he's the kind of guy that can kind of give us fits that way. And if anything can kind of jumpstart the Saints offense for them against our defense, especially against the run, is this guy right here. I'm most worried about. This is the biggest weapon on the offensive side of the ball, more so than Kamara, believe it or not. And I want to keep this guy under 100 total combined yards and 0 touchdowns. Now, this guy has had 7 touchdowns in the last 6 games. And he's done it in a variety of ways. Like I said, he's thrown for 1, he's run for 5, and he's caught 1. So he can do it all. He's also a red zone threat as a tight end. Good hands. So if anything, if we can kind of corral this guy, we got a good chance at slowing down this offense. Now, of course, if you are enjoying this, why not subscribe? Why not give it a thumbs up? And that way you'll be notified of all of our future live streams. And that would include, of course, if you're new here, we go live every halftime of games. So it's going to be starting at 10 o'clock Pacific. So the halftime report's going to be roughly an hour and a half after that. During the halftime, we talk about what I call the good, bad, and ugly on the Raiders side of the ball. We go over these 4 keys of the game to see how the Raiders are doing with that. And I'll get your view. What do you guys think? I give you guys a grade 8 through up so far in that half. It's a lot of fun. We go about 10 or 15 minutes and go back to the second half of the game. And I invite you guys all out to come and join us.
And I hear everyone say it, take what they give you. We're going to take what we want.
Now, as far as taking what we want on the offensive side of the ball, I'm a little concerned with this team. Of course, the defense is much better. I would say markedly better than the Houston Texans. That's not saying a whole lot, to be honest with you. Still 22nd in rushing. In run defense rather, but they have some legitimate pass rushers. Now, they do have 15 sacks, which is okay, but 9 of them have come from 2 guys. Of course, Cam Jordan, 4.5 sacks. We know about this guy, perennial stud on the edge, but this other guy right here, Demario Davis, he has 5 sacks, rated within the top 10 for linebackers by PFF. He's also a good run stopper. He can kind of do it all. And that's why I kind of put the first key to the game, not only on the offensive line, mainly on the right side, but the whole offensive line. And we gotta keep them to 2 sacks max and 5 quarterback hits. We can't let these guys, especially up the middle, come after Carr, hit him, disrupt our offense. That's a surefire way to keep the Saints team in the game. I think we can take them on both sides, both running and passing the ball. But it's going to start with this offensive line and the protection. And frankly, this we haven't seen anything like this probably since the Chiefs game, to be honest with you, as far as the pass rush goes, a legitimate pass rush. And we're going to have to be on our toes for this game. Now, my second key to the game, I could go with Josh Jacobs. I'm going to go with Derek Carr, and this is why. I think Jacobs is going to get his. I don't think we're going to run the ball quite as much as we did last week in Houston. And quite frankly, I don't think we're going to have to. This pass defense is, it says 16th in yardage, but the last couple weeks, they've been plagued by injuries, especially on the corners. This Adebo guy, he's one of the league leaders in yards allowed, especially air yards. So we could get some big plays either through Tay or Tyron Johnson. That's why I brought him up. I could see us going deep with this guy. So I could see us getting a little bit more in the passing game. I would say we were probably more like maybe 70-30, 75-25 running last week. I see that coming back to maybe about a 60-40 split, running the ball 60%, passing 40%. So I'm going to put this, again, kind of similar to what we did last week, 400 plus total yards, 25 first downs, and 0 turnovers. 0 turnovers because the Saints, they don't get a whole lot of turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. So why gift them any, to be honest with you? Wouldn't make any sense. They're one of the league lows. They only have 1 interception for the whole season, 7 games. That's even worse than us, to be honest with you. So I'm looking at 400 total as a benchmark. So I'm looking at something like maybe 120, 130 rushing yards, and then like 270, 280 passing yards. I think that's what's going to happen here. We'll probably get maybe even 2 touchdowns on both sides, rushing and passing. That's the way I see it. I know a lot of people, you can see a lot of our receiving core is kind of quote unquote questionable, but I don't know if that's really kind of there because, Devontae Adams-Lewis has an illness. Renfro played last week anyway with a hip injury. Hollins is new. Waller's back practicing. I could see him there. Of course, Foster Moreau's back there too if Waller can't take all the snaps. So I think we'll still be good. It's all going to hinge on this offensive line. That's why I put it as my first key to the game. And if we can get a nice balanced attack with Jacobs, things are going to open up. The secondary can be had and has been had the last couple of weeks. Don't let the overall stat fool you, especially, like I said, they've been plagued with injuries. They're thinner than we are at cornerback, and that's saying something. And the safeties, big names, Marcus May, Honey Badger, they haven't really produced to their namesake, to be honest with you, as they have in their previous teams. So that's what I have here. So I'm going to give you my game prediction now, and I think it's going to be a Halloween weekend. It's going to be kind of wild and wacky. Our defense has had a hard time stopping the pass. I think we're going to get up big early, and the Saints are going to have to throw early and often. And I'm going to take the over on this game, and I'm going to predict this as a 40-34 victory for us. And I'm not going to predict another pick six for us. We got one last week, even though the Saints gave up 2 pick sixes to Arizona in their previous game. It could happen. Maybe a fumble recovery would be nice as well. We'll probably get, I'm thinking we're going to be +2 on turnovers. We'll get, we're not going to have any turnovers. We're going to get 2 turnovers off of them, whether it's fumble or interception or a cross between the two. And that'll probably tell the tale. But I do think the Saints are going to pass, especially with Taysom Hill out of the backfield, those little sneaky plays. That's going to be a problem for us. I think we can slow down Kamara as far as the run game goes. But him catching the ball out of the flat, I think he's actually better at doing that than actually running between the tackles, in my opinion. That's going to be a problem as well. Of course, Chris Olave. And then Smith, I didn't even talk about their slot receiver. He's a sneaky play to get a touchdown as well for the Saints. I think it's going to be rather high scoring. All right, we got some bots in here. Look at this. We got some bots in here on the YouTube side. I'm going to have to... I'm going to have to hide these little bots. Hang on, guys. I don't know where my moderators are, but they are not here at the moment, so I'm going to have to, we're getting some XXX fun or whatever nonsense is going on there, so I had to remove that. So that is my prediction, 40-34. I could see us very well scoring another touchdown on top of this. I think it's going to be rather high scoring, and it's going to be a little wild and wacky, and don't be surprised if we do get another defense special teams touchdown. Psycho Jackal says, hell yeah, some girls go wild. Don't encourage the bots. But I want to know what you think, of course. Put your comment, put them in the comments. I want to see your predictions right now, both on YouTube and on TikTok. Yes, I read the comments. And for watching this after the fact, number one, why are you doing that? You should be subscribed so you're here live with us and having fun with us and having fun with the bots. You're not going to get the bots because I erased it. You're not even going to get to see the bots if you're watching this on a replay. So why not subscribe to us? Have all the fun you can here. And I'll put them in the comment section as well. I read every comment as well. I usually respond to every comment, unless of course it's a bot. So how you guys doing tonight? You guys want to talk about Raider football? I want to see your predictions. How you guys doing out there in YouTube land and TikTok land? Oh man, it's been a wild day for me. I'll just say that. Taking care of some personal business. I might get into that a little bit later, but I'll be all right. But I've been a little busy the last few days. But I still will be on. I still plan to be scheduled at least through December. I might have to take a little bit of time off. When I do, I'll let you know about why. Nothing to worry about though. Some really good things going on here at the channel. I'll just say that. So, Psycho Jackal says Raiders 28, Saints 17. I know I've watched some other channels. I've seen some predictions. They're pretty low. I'm pretty high on my predictions, 40 to 34. That's a lot of points. I don't have a lot of confidence in in our defense right now, especially on the passing side. And I think this is going to be a lot more balanced attack this week than it was last week because, frankly, the Saints, they're paper thin at corner right now, and they can totally be exploited. Let's see. Okay, YouTube or TikTok, put your comments in there. I see some likes in here. I see 18 likes so far in TikTok. How many we got here? 6 likes on the YouTube side. Thank you for every single one of those. Put your predictions down below. We'll put those out there. And of course, as we normally do, we're going to be going to the chat room. If you guys want to come in, you can. And let me set this up. So I put the link in the pinned comment on YouTube. You can have that there. I've also put it on the pinned comment in TikTok. So when you come in, there's a link there. Go ahead and hit that link. I'll put it in here right now. If you do want to come in, you can come talk. You don't have to be on cam. But of course, you will need a mic. See, I've got it right over here. So you will need a mic, of course, so we can hear you and we can talk. So let me pull this up. So yeah, you guys see everybody gets a little bit of an advantage. So the YouTube side gets some polls. The TikTok side gets to see more of the behind the scenes here. So if you want to be on both, you can kind of see both. So you can kind of see my my OBS, Open Broadcast Software, that I use to actually do this. And I have to kind of click back and forth. I will probably be getting a third monitor. My other one took a crap, so I only have 2 right now. So if you are on the TikTok side, you can kind of see some of the behind the scenes stuff. So if you do want to come in, that's fine. If you just want to stay in chat, give me your thoughts in chat and we can talk about this. So I'll be looking forward to that right now. So give you guys a break. What about you, Hefe? I didn't see a prediction from you. Why don't you predict the game for us? You think we're going to get hit by that New Orleans voodoo and take an L? You probably hope so. I bet that. So let's see. Come on, Hefe, put your comments in there. I wonder if he's still here. He might have bounced out. So yeah, he likes to troll. So if you don't play along with him, he gets bored and goes to the next Raider content creator and talks smack and tries to get booted out. I haven't booted him out yet. He's pretty cool, so we're all right. He's even been right here on the live chat right here. So if you guys want to come in the live chat again, hit that link and you'll be in the green room, and then I can let you in and we can talk Raider football or anything else. And I saw some people talking fantasy, especially on the TikTok side. If you guys want to come on the live chat, I put the link in the first comment there when you come on in. So click on that and you can do the same thing. We can talk fantasy if you want. That's fine. But let's see. I think I'll probably do that next Saturday. It seems like, especially on the TikTok side, a lot of people ask me fantasy questions on my videos and my live stream. So I'm happy to do it. But I'd rather talk Raiders tonight, though. Raiders 75-28. I see you in here. Hello. Atlanta's tied for first place with the Panthers. Mariota plays the Panthers Sunday for first place. Yeah, and they're both under 500. So that ought to tell you something. Again, another thing. The Saints are 2-5. They've played all 3 teams in their division. Everybody's under 500 in that division. And so they haven't had the same level of competition we have. We're 2-4, but we've played a lot of playoff teams, and in the case of the Chargers, should have been a playoff team last year, but they choked, obviously. But of course, Tennessee was in the playoffs, Kansas City was in the playoffs, Arizona was in the playoffs last year. So a lot more tougher competition thus far. And it looks like the Raiders are kind of hitting their stride now. Granted, I was not very happy with the first half against the Houston the Texans. But they did kind of get it together that last drive in the first half. And then Josh Jacobs kind of put it in overdrive, and I thought that's one of my keys to the game. I thought we would just blast him with Jacobs, 30th ranked run defense, basically paper. This one's not quite as bad, but still can be had. I think it's going to be more, like I said, more of a balanced attack this week with the Saints. And it's New Orleans and it's Halloween. I'm just going to expect some weirdness in this game. And that's why I think the score is going to be higher. But I think we're going to prevail. I think we're the better team. I think we have more talent, especially the offensive matchup against their defense. I think we can feast there. I'm hoping we get a little bit more pass rush against Andy Dalton. He's got an arm, but the accuracy I think is kind of in question. Of course, he's a little past his prime now, of course, but I think Max Crosby can stress him into an interception or two for sure. Raiders 75-28 also says Saints are tanking as we should be. This team's not built for a deep playoff run. Well, I agree with that. I said that last week. And even though we won, I was not too happy about it overall. The way the preparation in the first half, like I said, championship teams don't do that. When you're facing inferior competition, you need to step on their necks and beat them down. Frankly, it was kind of embarrassing to be in that position with a team like the Houston Texans, who I think, like I said, worst team in the conference. So we're not there yet, of course. We have some huge holes. Right tackle is still a problem. Illuminor I don't think he's the answer day to day. He has his moments, but then he misses sometimes too. Plus, he's fighting some nagging injuries. You can tell. Looked like he was kind of walking slowly during last week's game. And I would say defensive tackle, which is kind of weird. I don't know what's going on with that whole Hankins situation. We can talk about that. Frankly, Hankins was a free agent in the offseason, and we re-signed him, but then didn't use him and then traded him. So I didn't really get that. Why did we re-sign him in the first place then? If he a lot of people say, well, he doesn't fit the scheme. Well, why did we re-sign him then? We still have money under the cap. Still not going after to plug any of these holes with some veteran help. Cornerback has been thin due to injuries, due to trading away Trayvon Mullen. So, yeah, you're right. I don't think this is a deep playoff run. I think we're probably a wild card type team with the talent we have, but I don't think we could run the gauntlet in the AFC playoff race and beat. We'd have to beat KC. We'd have to beat Buffalo, probably at their place. Both of those games. That is a tall order, especially for where we are with this team right now. Psycho Jackal says, I wanted Hankins to play the rest of the season. I liked Hankins. I was critical of him last year until that last little bit of run, and I thought he played lights out against the run last season. Those last few games helped us get us into the playoffs. Again, kind of a head scratcher. I mean, are we really getting something by moving up a round? Basically, we moved up from the 7th to the 6th round. I mean, and defensive tackle isn't a strong suit for us at all. So he hasn't really been playing, so I can't say that's really going to hurt us in the run game. So is Neil Farrell going to be pushed up now to play the one technique more now, or are we just going to keep with that 4-2-5 nickel kind of look? I think that's the latter's probably what's going to happen. I'm still kind of scratching my head with some of the things Patrick Graham does on defense. A little bit too much prevent once we get a double-digit lead. I don't like that. It needs to be a little aggressive here and there. And we need to get to Dalton, of course. And cover, we're going to have to cover Taysom Hill and Kamara out of the flat. That's just the bottom line. We've been terrible at that. We were terrible at that with the old regime under Gruden. I'm trying to remember the last time we were pretty good at that. It's hard to see. I mean, every time we play the Chargers, Austin Eckler's going crazy in the flat. I mean, you see that just about every game. And we got to clean that up. So I don't know if that's going to happen this season, or if we're going to have to look in the draft for that. A nice pass coverage outside linebacker, frankly we don't have right now. Let's see. 7528 says Hankins traded the Cowboys for draft picks. I repeat, draft picks, but why? We're thin in the middle. We need draft picks. What I saw was that we traded him in a 7th for Dallas's 6th. So we moved up around. That's what I saw the deal was per ESPN. So again, like I said, I agree with you. It's like that's not a strong suit for us. I don't like trading away where we're already thin. Why don't we trade Rocky Sin too? Why not? We got all these great corners. 6 does nothing. 6 can get you a decent. I would say a 6 can get you a decent backup, special teamer. But you're right. It's really nothing in the grand scheme of things. So it's not like we dropped the bank on him. I'm still kind of waiting for the other shoe to fall. I'm wondering if they're waiting to see if this team will get into playoff contention to try to do something. The trade deadline is on the 1st, so maybe if we win the Saints game, they'll try to pull the trigger on something, like the Eagles have done. Eagles got Robert Quinn, defensive tackle. That would have been a nice little addition. I think he's a little old, but I mean, we need help there. Of course, a few other teams have made trades as well. Let's see. Raider 7528 is already on draft pick watch. Oh my gosh. We had the 2nd pick before the Texans. Now we're at pick 7. I still think we're in contention for a playoff spot, to be honest with you. If you look at the competition, we had Houston, the Saints, Jacksonville. Seattle's been playing well. I think they've been playing a little over their head. And then we get a nice little revenge game against the Chargers again. I think we can rack up some wins here, and I'm not into tanking. I'm not into throwing games away. I think that it's shitty for morale. I think it's not commitment to excellence. It's something I would never see Al Davis doing this, and frankly, that's why I'm a Raider fan. I have that maverick attitude and approach that he had to the game. We need to get back to our roots and do that, and tanking is not part of that. So let's see. 7528 also says Colts benching Matt Ryan, Sam Ellinger. In short, they're basically tanking. Well, the Colts weren't. Let's be honest here. I mean, they had Carson Wentz, who was trash. If you watched the game last year against the Raiders, he got the luckiest touchdown in maybe the history of the NFL. The two guys bumping into each other like Three Stooges, and it dropping in T.Y. Hilton's lap. It's a joke. Carson Wentz is a joke, and he was a joke in Washington. He has his moments here and there, but you can't rely on that guy. And the Colts knew that, and they went and got Matt Ryan, a veteran, because Atlanta was dumping him. And Matt Ryan has been awful. He has been terrible, throwing really bad picks, really bad throws, just dumb things, like stuff like a rookie would do. And I think turning to him is not tanking. It's seeing what you got here, because they're going to go nowhere with Matt Ryan. So you might as well throw the youngster in there and go from there. I mean, they have a decent defense. I mean, defense is keeping them in the game. I mean, Gus, say what you will about Gus Bradley, but he has decent defenses. I've done videos on that. Not the biggest risk taker. Never likes to blitz, of course, but when you have Kwity Paye and let's see, Ngakoue, you don't really need to blitz if that's going. But I mean, that defense has been keeping him in games. Matt Ryan throws a pick 6. I'm not blaming the defense on that. If their defense gives up 15, 20 points a game, those are those are the defenses doing their job to win the game. So, and they have the all-world running back, Jonathan Taylor. So I don't know what the hell's going on with Indy, to be honest with you. I fully support this move that they're doing. You got to get that kid out there, see what he's got. Alice Ghost says, I think Ziegler's trying to stock up on picks to package them for higher picks in the draft. Okay, package the 5th and 6th to move into the 4th. We did that a couple times in the draft, if you remember. We did that with Zamir White and was it Neil Farrell? I think Neil Farrell Jr. we moved up for a little bit too. So 7528 says F the playoffs unless we're making a run. I'm committed to winning each and every game. That's how I feel. I don't commit to tanking. We need to build the franchise. Well, it's not going to be built in a day, so we need to draft well. That's what we need to do. We haven't really seen that, especially with the old regime. My God, look at all the first round picks we squandered. They're gone. They're all basically gone from the old regime. You know, so they would hit on later round picks in the first and second round. They would do terribly. It says we finally have a GM. We finally have a GM that doesn't want to fill holes, that wants to keep 18 to 20 million of the cap money that he could go out and get an Ndamukong Suh. Could have got a Steven Nelson to bolster the linebacking core. Could have gotten a Larry Ogunjobi that I wanted at defensive tackle, who could play the 1 and the 3. He's pretty versatile. He could play nose, and he could play off tackle. Didn't go get him. Nobody wanted him, and then the Steelers picked him up. So, we have a GM, but the proof of the pudding is going to be in the eating. So I'm going to still hold off on crowning him. You know, you can crown him if you want. Crown their ass, like Denny Green, crown their ass. But I think it's better than the Gruden Mayock era for sure, and. I think, like I said, the offensive line hasn't settled in yet, especially right tackle. What are we going to do about right tackle? So, let's see. The TikTokers have left. The TikTokers have left the building. I think they wanted to talk about fantasy football. He's a proven GM. Well, yes, kind of. Yeah. You could say that. You could also say it was Bill Belichick running the show. So I just think I think there was gonna be some growing pains in the first year. Let's see. I did predict us to get 11 wins. We had 10 last season. I don't know about that now. We squandered at least 2 games this year. Obviously the Arizona game, absolute nonsense. I think the Tennessee game could have been had, but it wasn't. I'm not going to say we squandered the Chiefs game. I think the 2-point conversion was frankly ridiculous. Even if we go up by a point, the way they were moving the ball down, it wouldn't have mattered. Let them get a touchdown. You know, let them get a touchdown because their field goal kicker was trash. Butker was hurt. They've been running and cycling through kickers because they can't find a good one, and the replacement was terrible that night. So I would have rather seen that, but it didn't happen. So I don't think Ziegler's proven at all. He's never been a GM before. He's been a personnel guy, like an assistant, but he's never been the man. You're right. Plus, like I said, you could say Belichick was running the show there. So I'm going to wait and see approach. I'm optimistic. Some of the things I agreed with. I agreed with the Devontae Adams trade, even with the first 2 picks, because he's such a stud, all-world type of player. A good player too. He's not, I don't see him doing anything crazy in Vegas. I'm not going to name any names. And he has a good rapport with Derek Carr. And since we're going to be keeping Carr, that was the whole thing. We extended him. Why not do that? So, so far so good, but I think more so it's been on the coaching and the player side. as far as us being 2-4. Again, there's still some holes here, of course. I don't think we're a Super Bowl contending team. I think we're a playoff contending team. I don't see any reason why we can't get one of those wild card spots, even at 2-4. And we've got a pretty soft schedule the next 4 to 5 weeks. So let's see. Yeah, I guess I got to do a fantasy show for the TikTokers because they don't want to hear about the Raiders. So, and I might do that on Saturday. Probably not tomorrow, but maybe next Saturday I'll do a fantasy show. It looked like there was some interest in that, and just change the format around a little bit. Let's see. But I want to talk about Raiders tonight. 7528 says, CBS Sports just put out a quarterback rating, put in Cart 14. Thoughts, everyone? I think that's a little low. I don't think that's like a disgusting dig at him. I would say he's maybe 8 to 10 is where I would put him, just off the top of my head right now. The big thing with Carr is, and he's not making a lot of mistakes that he did in the first few games. He's actually been, honestly, he's been playing better. I know we've been running the hell out of the ball, but when he does throw, they've been better. They've been more on target, especially. And I was arguing with people about that Arizona game, especially the second half. You could say the play calling sucked, and I agree with that, but there are times where it was like 10 or 15 seconds off the play clock. We were 3 and out, and the defense is back on the field, and people are whining that the defense can't hold them. You got Kyler Murray, an explosive guy who can run and pass the ball. You can't keep your defense out on the field the whole friggin' half, and then if you if you have like the NFL Plus or whatever, watch the second half of that game. A lot of errant passes by Derek Carr. A lot of errant passes. So, 7528 says not top 10. Where would you rank him then? 7528. Where would you rank him if he's not top 10? These younger guys are surpassing him. I don't know about that. Who? Burrow and Herbert. I mean, Burrow was a national champion, so, and Herbert was pretty darn good in Oregon, so, 13 off top. Okay, so you pretty much agree with the CBS Sports ranking of 14 then, 13, 14. It's picking nits at that point. So, I've always said he could be anywhere. I've always said this, anywhere from 6th best to 14th best quarterback in the league with Carr. That's probably the floor and the ceiling. That's what I've been saying it for, a year and a half, 2 years now I've been on here. So it is what it is. I mean, is he ever going to be like a Peyton Manning? No. But, he's not going to be a Jameis Winston throwing 4 or 5 picks a game either. So, Al's Ghost says Carr gets a lot of unwarranted heat. He's not one of our problems. Yeah, you're right. He's not one of our problems. And we've been talking a lot about fantasy football. The NFL is not fantasy football. You can't get the top quarterback. You can't get the top wide receiver, top running back, top tight end, top offense. You can't have the top everything. I think he's an above average quarterback. If I say 6 to 14 right now, I'm saying 8 to 10 right now based on the way he's playing. There's 32 teams in the league, 32 starting quarterbacks basically. So he's above average. So you go 16, so he's above average to me. So link to list. I mean, you can. At times he's played like a top. Yeah, at times he has played like a top 5 guy, and there was a stat running around, I think last year. I haven't gotten the update, but he had like the most fourth quarter comebacks since he'd been in the league in 2014. So take that for what you want. I remember when Matt Stafford got traded to the Rams, with Goff, the little swappy swap and the picks. So I did a video on that. I also compared Stafford to Derek Carr's stats, and they're really close. I mean, they're really close. So I was really optimistic with Derek Carr this year with more weapons, especially Devontae Adams. I'm still a little concerned about the offensive line. That was a concern. That was a concern last year with Brandon Parker playing like crap at right tackle, and Alex Leatherwood, and they moved him into guard, and he didn't play much better there, to be honest with you. And Brandon Parker was terrible. And then we re-signed Brandon Parker. He was a free agent in the offseason. We re-signed him, and then he got hurt, so he's on the IR. So to me, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because he would be awful there. I think Illuminor is better than Parker, but that's not saying a whole lot. Let's see, Kirk Cousins or Derek Carr? Right now, it's pretty. That's a heck of a toss up, to be honest with you. I think they're close to each other. If you have one or the over the other, I'm not going to say one is 5 or 8 spots above the other. They're probably next to each other on most lists, to be honest with you, in my opinion. Kirk Cousins has had his moments. I mean, he's looked really good at times, and then he's looked like, oh my God, what's this guy doing? I think Kirk Cousins has a higher ceiling as far if you're looking at fantasy, but he has a lower floor too, because there's times where he's a turnover machine. I don't know what it is. And he's got some good weapons around him as well. So let's see. Yeah, I don't have anybody else on TikTok. So if you are enjoying this, of course, I got to give my plug like I normally do. If you are enjoying this, why not subscribe or follow here on TikTok? Woo! Why not do that? Then you can be live with us. If you want to come into chat, you can. If you don't feel like it, that's fine too. A lot of times people do, people don't. That's cool. I have it out here for you guys because I think that's the best part of this. Again, if I'm just going to talk about things, I'll just make a video and throw it out there. Then why do live streams? The live stream is about the interaction. So I put out a topic, a show formula, schedule, topics, and then we talk about things. That's the bottom line with that. So if you are enjoying this, again, why not subscribe, follow, give it a like, do all that good things, and come join us. Again, we will be live at halftime like we normally are. It is a 10 a.m. start. They're treating this as an East Coast game, of course. We're going to be at New Orleans. I believe Jacksonville is going to be the same thing, of course, since we're going to be there after that. We've got a little bit of a road trip, 2 games here. So you figure it's about a 3-hour game. Hour and a half later will be halftime. So about 11:30. I'll probably schedule it for 11:30. It could be 5-10 minutes earlier. It could be 5-10 minutes later. So I can't show the game. So copyright, of course. I can't show the game. So I'm not going to do that. I will come on at halftime. So when halftime comes on, you come on here and we'll talk about the game. Whether you like what you're seeing or not, we can dissect it. And then the next day, Monday, Halloween night, we will be live doing the full game review with grades. And of course, I go over my picks and my predictions. Are my picks going along the lines with what we needed to do to win? And how did that flow? And also my prediction. Last week, I believe I had the 8-point spread, but they outscored it by 4 points each. So it's close enough. I mean, it wasn't like 10-0 or something. So I did go a little high this week. I think both of these defenses are pretty ripe for the picking, to be honest with you. And it's New Orleans and it's Halloween weekend. It could be a wild one, guys. It could be a wild one. And who knows if Dalton goes stupid, they might throw Jameis in there, and he can throw interceptions too, but he can throw a lot of touchdowns also. So he's a 30 for 30 guy. So I think it's gonna be an exciting game, to be honest with you. I'm looking forward to it. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific, we'll be on about 11:30, and then Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, we'll do the full game review. Psycho Jackal says, "Well, I'm drinking and grilling chicken for some tacos." I usually don't. Well, it depends. Last season I was drinking a little bit. Kind of had to, especially with what was going on about this time last season, to be honest with you. But probably a little early. I might start some lunch or something after the halftime report. Let's see. And listening, of course, and listening. Alex Goes says, keep the faith, everyone. I think we'll pull a W in NOLA. Yeah, I'm pretty certain with this one. The only one I would say I was more certain about was last week with Houston. And it kind of disturbed me. I did not see us being so poorly in the passing game, pass defense rather. I knew we could kind of keep a handle on Damian Pierce. We did a little bit, but I know he ended up getting like 92 yards. So that guy's a stud. I told you that's the guy I wanted in the draft. We didn't get him. We could have instead of getting Parham, but we didn't, and we went running back in the 4th. So let's take a look at the voting here. So final voting. Looks like most of you said Alvin Kamara is their biggest weapon. I'm going with Taysom Hill here, just because of the wild card. I think Kamara is dangerous. Don't get me wrong. He is dangerous, but especially in the receiving game, more so in the receiving game. I think we've been doing pretty well in the run defense, honestly, especially given the past few seasons before we've been terrible. We're at least, I would say we're a little above average on that. I'm not going to say we're awesome at it, but I would give us an above average grade on that. But the passing out of the flat's still awful. It's still terrible. Taysom Hill, he's a little squirrely guy. He can do everything. I'm worried about him keeping these guys in the game, and our offense is going to have to go out there and run up the points. All right. So we are 52 after. We go about an hour with these on the game reviews and previews. Of course, again, if you are enjoying this, sub, like, do all that stuff. Follow if you're on TikTok. I might do a fantasy one next Saturday if you guys want it. I know some of you do, some of you don't, but it would just be fantasy only. I won't talk about the Raiders. Probably be like a Saturday night thing if you guys want to talk about that before you put your lineups in if you do play fantasy football. Looks like I got a lot of interest in TikTok. That's cool. Again, we will be live Sunday, probably about 11:30 a.m. Pacific. But at halftime, we'll come on for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'll give you my thoughts. Unalterated, well, mostly unalterated thoughts. So if they're playing badly, you're going to hear it. If they're playing well, you're going to hear it too. So that's how I am. And thank you for coming out. I see a lot of the same people coming out. I appreciate all the regulars coming out as well as the new people subscribing. We're still growing, and I thank you for that. And as always, no, we're not tanking. I don't agree with that 75-28. But I want commitment to excellence, as I'm going to show right now with Al Davis. And as always, go Raiders.
Something with all the distractions that you have off the field, how are you able to keep focused on winning football games as you do and do throughout the year?
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.